Hi folks, I'm Dave Clark. I'm one of the senior product managers at SquaredUp. This session is going to be all about dashboards as code, how you can create dashboards within SquaredUp, store them as code and achieve that automation. We're going to look at how you use Terraform to do that, and we'll talk a little bit about the public API as well. I'm joined by my colleague Shaz. Shaz, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thank you, Dave. Hi, everyone. I'm Shaz, Senior DevOps Engineer here at SquaredUp, and have led the development for our Terraform provider. I'm glad to be with you all.
Great, and yeah, we're in safe hands as Shaz said. He's led development on Terraform and lots of kind of input into our API as well. So hopefully, some good stuff to share. So yeah, let's dive in. So we're going to cover a couple of topics today. We'll look firstly at kind of why dashboards as code. Obviously, the infrastructure as code kind of movement in general is out there, and dashboards as code kind of over the past few years has grown in popularity as well. We'll talk a little bit about just our API in general, the kind of key information you need to know there. And then we'll look at the Terraform provider itself and kind of the functionality it offers. Once we've done that, we'll dive into a couple of live demos. So we'll look at how you create your first dashboard as code using Terraform, and then we'll take things a little bit further and look at how you integrate data sources and go further there as well. So let's dive in. So this is our API. All of the docs are available online. We have a full kind of open API spec. So if you're in the US, we've got api.squaredup.com, and in the EU, eu.api.squaredup.com, with the URLs just on screen there for those docs. Everything you do in SquaredUp, you can do via the API. It's the same API that we use kind of under the covers that we expose publicly. So whether that's dashboards or data streams or monitoring, whatever it might be, you can kind of automate and trigger those actions via the API. You can generate an API key in the product. If you go to settings and the API page here, you can add an API key. You can add a name and a description for that key. Obviously, once you generate it, you'll be showing the key once, and that's it. So make sure you kind of store it securely, and you won't be showing it again. Just one useful tip, as I've mentioned, we use the same API under the covers. So if you're not sure on how to make a particular request, or you want to see some example payloads, then if you're using the dev tools, you can see that request. You can see the parameters or body that's being sent with that request. So yeah, just a really useful way of getting an idea of what's going on, and perhaps at least a starting point if you're working with the API. So I just wanted to cover a little bit on why dashboards as code. Why have we done this? Why have we built this Terraform provider, and why might you want to use it? And there's a few kind of core benefits. The first of those is just version control. Obviously, without dashboards as code, your dashboards are stored by us, and we look after them. But if you want to have those in version control, you want to have changes tracked to them, you want to be able to kind of perform review on them. Having them in version control obviously lets you do all of that. And the other benefit version control is that you might store your dashboards alongside the application itself that you're monitoring, or perhaps other monitoring configuration that you have. So that's a really key benefit. The second one here is automation. You might want dashboards automatically created with a trigger. Perhaps it's a standard set of dashboards every time a new service gets added to your CMDB. Or maybe it's something simpler, like keeping dashboards in sync between a production and a pre-prod environment, or a test and a staging environment. So yeah, really key focus there. And then the other use case that we hear from time to time is just at scale. It gives you a better way of managing those dashboards. Maybe you're deploying dashboards out across lots of different applications or services, or even lots of teams. Then it gives you that ability to do that consistently, have a standard set of dashboards, so your monitoring and metrics are kind of standardized across those teams. I've got a quote here from the guys at Avidi. They're a large MSP, managed service provider in Norway, and they've used Terraform to actually create standard sets of dashboards that they deploy to all of their kind of customer environments. So they have many, many different customers, and they have this standard set of dashboards there. And as you can see from this quote, this just helps them kind of achieve that scalably without kind of manual work. So yeah, tons of benefits, and there's other bits and pieces too, stuff around compliance and governance, as well as disaster recovery scenarios and things like that. So hopefully good reasons. Hopefully the fact you're at this session means you don't need too much persuasion on using dashboards as code. So yeah, let's take a look at Terraform and the provider we've built. So we're an official partner with HashiCorp, which are the company that produced Terraform. It is a fully open source project, the provider itself. So it's published on GitHub. You can see the public repository and check out what it's doing. And we are accepting contributions. So if there's any issues you hit or you've got feature requests as well, kind of submit them to us. So please feel free to do that on GitHub or reach out to our support team as well. We have loads of docs and examples. There's an initial blog that kind of introduces the provider. There's tons of Terraform documentation on the different resources and capabilities, and we even have a GitHub repository with some key examples in that just get you started. So yeah, really easy to kind of get going with and get stuck in. The provider itself covers tons of stuff. So all of the kind of the red boxes here we have today. So whether that's dashboards or data sources, notifications, images, object collections, and so on. The two at the end there, access control and relay agents, are in progress. So we're working on those at the moment to bring that functionality to the provider, and I'm sure there'll be more additions in the future as well. Like I say, we're more than happy to accept PRs in or even feature requests submitted to us if there's particular functionality that you'd like to see. So yeah, hopefully that's a good introduction just to dashboards as code and then our provider itself. Probably about time we saw in action. So before I'll hand over to Shaz. Shaz, before you kind of dive into the demos, why don't you excuse me, just take a minute to explain what we're going to do, what we're going to see today.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. So we'll be using a repository that's in our SquaredUp GitHub organization. In the first one, we'll be creating our first dashboard, sort of starting from scratch. If you're starting new with Terraform and SquaredUp, we'll be creating a workspace, and then within that workspace, we'll also deploy a basic static dashboard, and then we'll progress from there, kind of go further. If you're already with SquaredUp and you've already configured a data source, and now you want to start deploying dashboards through Terraform in an existing SquaredUp organization, and we'll also show you how to integrate with an existing data source and then to deploy dashboards, like you mentioned earlier, kind of reusable dashboards. If you have standard set of dashboards that you use for separate services, we'll do the same again and we'll deploy that. And yeah, that should be it.
Great. All right, let's do it. Over to you, Shaz.
Okay, let's start with our repository here. So I have cloned this introduction to SquaredUp Terraform repo, and we'll start with the bare bone dashboard like we've seen earlier. We'll begin with first setting up the provider, which you can grab the provider information from the registry. The provider information, if you click on use provider, shows you the initial provider setup and then the configuration options for SquaredUp itself. You can see the same information on the documentations here. In order to set up a provider for SquaredUp, we need an API key and the region provided to it, so it knows where it needs to go and create those resources that you'll be specifying here. And this resource block at the beginning here is the SquaredUp workspace, and then within this we'll have a SquaredUp dashboard. We've specified the workspace ID here. So if you're used to Terraform syntax, this just means we'll use the SquaredUp workspace specified earlier. The the ID of it. And we have this set of text style here. And if you see here, we have template bindings. This is essentially for you to create that reusable dashboards, because in here the text block actually gets replaced with the bindings that you provided here as well. So let's see this. So to begin with, I will set up my. I'll begin from here. Start with the bare bone basics. I'll initialize the Terraform provider. This is where it's going to Terraform, downloading the provider, creates the .terraform folder, the log files that's necessary for it. And once we're there, we can do a plan to see what it's going to do. As we specified in the template in the Terraform file here, it will create a SquaredUp workspace and a SquaredUp dashboard. Two resources that's been specified. And if you're happy with that configuration, you can go ahead and apply this change. You'll get prompted to approve it, and once approved, we'll go ahead. It's fairly quick, as you can see here. We've already got the workspace, we've already got the dashboard, and here's your first tile. Hello from SquaredUp. And kind of going back to this, like you can update your dashboards in seconds if you need to. Imagine if you had multiple dashboards here, just being able to just change one here and being able to deploy it. Again, this changes instantly as well. We can see here in this time it was 1 to change instead of to add. Go ahead and refresh this dashboard, and we've successfully updated the tile here. So yeah, fairly covers like a basic usage. We also have README there, so if you get stuck, feel free to read through that, and that should help you further if you need any more information.
Also, just to jump in, Shaz. So yeah, there we've created that first dashboard, had all that defined. There was that blob of JSON. Yeah, there it is. So that's defining our dashboard, that tile on there, and then a bit of content. And obviously in this case, the content, you're hard coding here to hello world, but I guess that could come from a Terraform parameter or variable in some form. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So again, going back to the Terraform syntax, if you define that in a separate block, you can use the follow similar syntax, and then you can reuse that again in here if you need to.
Great. Thanks, Shaz.
And just to cover on getting this JSON as well, if you're starting for the first time, you can grab the dashboard JSON from there and then edit it to your kind of need. The main important one is if you're planning on making them reusable, then you would need to use the mustache parameter, and then that's what we base off, and we replace those details from here. And then again, being in the Terraform world, this also means if we need to now delete it, we can go ahead and do that quite easily as well. So kind of showing the full picture of it, being able to start from scratch, creating a workspace dashboard, and then deleting it as well. Yeah, I think that covers it quite well for starting. And we'll go ahead and go to a different use case. So in this one, like I mentioned earlier, if you're already with us, you've already set up a data source, and you're seeing this for the first time, and you want to use it, but you don't want to start everything from scratch, redeploy all of your data sources and workspaces. You just want to be able to go into an existing setup and start using Terraform. This demo should help you with that. Going back to this again, the first two blocks are the same, just setting up the provider there, and then we're defining our data source ID. So when you set up a data source within SquaredUp, it has a config ID, which you can grab from the URL. And also, if not, the dev tool should help you with that as well. And
So just to ask there, so that's an existing data source that we've created, which I guess it looks like it's for AWS here, but I guess it's possible to add brand new data sources all within Terraform if we wanted as well.
yes, we do support that as well. Again, that's covered in our documentation quite well. You can look them through resources. If you're trying to create data source, then we can go ahead and check this out. So yeah, you can set up, but we're trying to just cover that if you've already configured it.
Yeah.
Then if you don't want to start again, then this would be a good way to do it as well.
Brilliant.
And in this one, we'll be again creating a workspace, and then we'll be creating dashboards. So this one we're doing kind of different. So this is going back to the point that Dave made earlier as to why using Terraform. So in this example here, we've got self-important lambdas in our use case, and you want to create dashboards, individual dashboard for these services. But again, you already have a template that works well with your use case. So yeah, you can use Terraform to deploy the same dashboard for these 3 lambdas that we've specified here. You can increase this list to, if you have more than 3 services that's important to you, follow the same structure, increase that, and we'll be able to deploy a dashboard for those. And then here's the dashboard JSON. So you don't have to just specify on that Terraform file like we did in the earlier demo. You can have that separately in a JSON. If it's a massive JSON file, you don't want it to be part of your Terraform file, then you can just have that separately. And then, yeah, as we can see here, like in here, we're creating tiles for daily duration variance and errors. Going back to the Terraform template itself, we've defined the resource block once to create the SquaredUp data source, but because we have a for each statement here, we're going through all the Lambda nodes that we've got from the previous data point here. And for each of those, we'll be creating dashboards. And we can see that in action there. I'll just to initialize again in here. SquaredUp here. And then if we just do Terraform plan, this time there'll be more resources that we'll be adding. We're not changing anything, so that looks correct. I'll just go ahead and do a Terraform bar here. That's still pretty there. So yeah, here we go. We've instantly created a workspace, and we've also got dashboards for each of those 3 services that we defined earlier in this important Lambda JSON. So yeah, it just shows you how powerful it can be and how easy it is in these kind of scenarios. Just being able to have one JSON and then the ability to instantly update that.
Great. Yeah.
And yeah, again, to the same here, we've also got a README in here. So if you need any help, feel free to read into that as well.
Yeah, so this repository with all these examples is available on GitHub. So you've got these first 2 examples that we've talked through. Then I think there is a third example, which I think shows some of the Terraform kind of parameterization and variables as well. Is that right?
Yeah, so this is the kind of use case that we spoke earlier as well. Like if you're in if you're creating a new resource and then you want a dashboard for that resource, it goes slightly further. So yeah, feel free to have a go at this as well. It's fairly the README describes it quite well, and yeah, just let us know how it goes.
Great, thanks, Shaz. Let me jump back to these slides. So yeah, hopefully you're all feeling like you're a little bit more knowledgeable around perhaps Terraform and certainly the SquaredUp provider. Like Shaz was saying, do check out that repository. There's 3 really good examples there to get you started. But we've also got our main doc site, which obviously has links to the API documentation, how to get started with the API and other bits and pieces. As I mentioned, the repository for the provider and even the example docs is open source. So if you do spot an issue or a bug, feel free to kind of raise a PR or submit an issue. And please do, ask for help. We've got the community at community.squaredup.com. So tons of support there if you do get stuck or need some advice on how to do something. And of course, we've got our support team as well if you wanted to reach out directly. But yeah, that's all from us. Hopefully that was useful. And thanks so much for your time, and happy dashboarding.
Thank you all.